Hello, good morning, and good morning. How you doing? How was your weekend? How was Easter? How was your Sunday rise? He got up. Did you? Yes, you did. Hope you had a great day. I did. I kind of hung with my family a little bit, and that was really good. Made it where my dinner my dinner, we kind of all put it together, some of my friends, and we just kind of enjoyed a relaxing day. We went to church. My church was fun yesterday. We enjoyed ourselves, and they even had a great treat for the kids after the service, and that was really cute. And we took a lot of pictures. So if you go on Facebook, you see I took a lot of pictures of just the fact that I'm still here, and many other people had the smiles on, saying that they were certainly happy that they are also still here. But listen, today I just woke up with this thing about move. Sometimes we are moved, we're forced to move. We don't really, it's not really our choice. We just are forced into a position of something else, doing something else, going someplace else, being a part of something that you weren't a part of before. And so you realize, wow, things have kind of changed. So, my question is, are you the one that makes the decisions to move, or have you been forced at times to move? Sometimes life just gives us things that we don't know are coming. We're not really, aware of how to deal with things, and we end up in a position of, wow, I don't know how I got here, but I am here, and we don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to behave. We don't know what we should be doing, but we know that it definitely happens. I'm going to try to stall a little bit and see who's waiting to get in. Let me see if I have to do something else to this. It says it shows that it should be live, so I presume that it is. Um, we're going to let it be like that. We're just going to let it be. Whoever gets in, hello, hello, hello. Come on in, make your comments. Just let me know that you're here. I met a young lady yesterday, and um, she was just so excited after church. And I didn't have a card on me that I could give her, so she took a picture to our card. I hope you will call me today or tomorrow, whenever your time permits, and we'll sit down and have a chat over some tea. Marion, thank you. I was wondering, was anybody around? Thank you, thank you. I wanted to make sure it was live. I appreciate that, Marion. You came on in. Marion, I'll call you later on today. I've been struggling, still don't have a car. So I've been struggling trying to get, when I'm done with this, trying to get where I needed to go, and having some people come and work it out for me. But it I tried one Saturday that I really liked, and so hopefully the Lord will bless, and I'll end up with a new car maybe this week or next. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I am excited about the fact um, that I am going to get a car. So thank you for showing up right there, and that let me know I can go on. So anyway, my question is, I know for a fact, just because Marion and I are friends, I know Marion made a big move. How many years ago, Marion? Maybe it was 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Marion made a big move, and that's my little dancing queen. She could throw it down, and she was teaching us stuff. Good morning, Calithia. How are you? Good to have you in the space this morning. Today, our word is going to be move. And but anyway, getting back to Marion, I don't want to forget that Marion taught us a line dance, and we all wore yellow, and we we were just cute. We were cute, and we are all it was like it was almost like the battle of the dancers, and everyone that danced in their particular groups all had on different colors, and it was so much fun. I think about that every time I go out and I see a new line dance that I don't know. I said, Marion was here, she'd know that dance. She could teach us that dance. But there's so many dances out, so many. But one of these days, I'm gonna try to get back to that. But I do love the fact that dancing would be a fun thing to do. But anyway, let's talk about move. And of course, this morning, because I am that kind of person that always wants to find something that I think has some merit in it. And I said, sometimes others move us, but when are we out above or ahead of the moves that we sometimes have to make? That's a question. Because sometimes we have to move, but it's been a forced move, such as if the landlord that you've been paying money to for years decides that it's time for him or her to sell the house that you've been living in, and they said, "Oh, I'll let you give you a good warning, give you heads up," and you don't know anything, and before you know it, they've sold the house, off and under you, and you have to move. So that has definitely happened. It has happened to so many. So anyway, I found this poem about move. I'm putting my little glasses here. And yes, I'm going to be the teacher for a second. And this is a poem by Robert Frost that I found. And it says the significance of the poem really talks about that it's a short poem. It's only 8 lines. And in these 8 lines, it really talks about the fact that nothing gold can stay. You think about that. Nothing gold can stay. And says that basically it's dealing with the fact it was based on the novel The Outsider by, S.E. Hinton. And the poem has 2 meanings. It says the first about the good things never lasting forever. How many of us have been through some good things with good people, good experiences, good times, only to realize that the good times stop and the people go and we change and we feel the loss. We understand that we were moved. We were moved to love. We were moved to share. We were moved to be involved with, but then we are moved, and I mean, people feel this when death happens, when relationships split, when we leave a job, when we stop working, at a corporation or a company or just our own business. We feel that move. We feel that shift. And it says that the second is about youth and innocence. When we're young, we think we can conquer the world. We can do anything that we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it, who we want to do it with and for. And then life changes and says that the life, it seems perfect when going right, but this will not stay forever. I love it. I love the concept that people are really thinking that's death to me, to understand that there's this top surface of what we see. There's all the middle, and then there's the bottom. And the bottom really says something about our lives. Good morning, Rhonda. How are you doing, my niece in New York? Love you, girl. So that's how we must address our lives, as just understanding that things change. Things change. We see it as just being different. We see it as the things have changed. And so the poem says, by Robert Frost, says, nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold, her early leaves a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief, so dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful piece of work right there. Just to say that when we're young, we got so much we're going to do, we're going to this and that. And then we realize the years move on and on and on. And as we look at ourselves, we watch ourselves age. We watch ourselves think differently. We watch ourselves being able to move differently, be involved differently in other things. We see that life continues to move on, even if we might be in our heads stuck in a period that says we got more time, we have more this and that, but it changes. So it says, oh, so good morning on motion for Marion. And I found y'all. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Marion again, and my niece Rhonda and Colethea. And there's some few other people around, but I don't know who they are because their names don't show up. But good morning, good morning, good morning. I love the fact that you all are sharing this time with me that just talks about our moves. Sometimes we don't pay attention. We just move, but we don't pay attention to one, why we move, and one, if we really needed to take the signs that we should have moved on before we were forced to move. Life is, we sometimes we can't get around some of the things that we like to do, but we understand it. The word today is move. That's today's word, move. How we change without wanting to change, how things will move us along. Like Debbie made a big move from New York to Florida. I mean, I know where Debbie lived in New York because I lived in the same area. So we've reconnected in Florida. Both of us are in Florida. But when we were in New York, we were satisfied. We were perfectly happy. We knew how to pick apples and go on a long walk, ride down a bank well, I don't know if Debbie did, but I did ride down a bank on a metal top or a plastic top and make it feel like we just had a real sleigh ride or some sliding ride anyway. But anyway, we knew life differently. So anyway, you say March. We got to March. We are. That's a good word. That's a good word for the move. So move, it says, what is move? But I'm going to ask you, are you stuck this morning on making a move about anything? Anything. It could be what color you want to wear your hair, what the nail polish you may want on your fingertips. It may be, the tie you're going to wear on to a party. Is it formal? Is it semi-formal? All those kinds of things. Those are making moves, those are making moves, and basically they're decisions. So the move is also a decision about what it is that you're going to do. So the move says, go in a specified direction or manner. Pushed, pulled. How many of us have been pulled out of situations only to realize that we needed to make that move? Maybe a friend or someone just told you, hey, look, we got to get up out of here. In fact, I'll give you a quick thing. I remember a friend of mine had gone to see a popular group, and they were in Alabama, and we didn't know anything about Alabama, but my friend says, hey, look, let's go see this group. They're really, really wonderful, blah, blah, blah. And I told her about the group. So we go on up there. And somehow or another, a fight broke out. And I don't know where I was standing. The fight ended up being right next to me. A woman broke a bottle, started cussing, was getting ready to cut the man up. And I think she had already done a little damage in terms of knocking down things and bottles and all that kind of stuff. So I remember I dived down to the floor and I said, this is crazy. How could I be in this? Sometimes you are forced to move. And I tell you, I moved up out of that place so fast. I found my friend who was over. I think she might have been dancing. I said, we got to go. So we got up out of there, but you never know. Sometimes you may have to move. So in this case, it talks about moving being the change of your position, to make progress, to be developed in a particular manner or direction, to go, to walk, to progress, to proceed, to budge, to stir, to shift, and headway. Sometimes that's what we have to look at it. We have to look at it being a word that forces us to be aggressive in our shift from where we are to where we need to get to. Okay, we may need to address it just as it is. It's time to go. Sometimes it's difficult for us to make decisions like that. We don't know how because we get very comfortable where we're at. Most of us do not want to make moves. Good morning, Miss Rosie. How are you today? Our word is move. It's move, to move from one place to another. I know Miss Rosie likes to walk a little bit, and so she gets her move in daily. How many of you move like that? I know I try to, but I usually like to get in my car and go someplace to do it. But in my house, I just been going up and down the stairs and keeping track of my steps with my watch and everything, and trying to see how many times I can get up and down the stairs all day. But when I break this word down, I start with my M. And M for me is maneuver, maneuver. And I believe all of us realize that in life we're going to have to do some type of maneuver, up, down, left, right, back, and then forward. But we got to do something. It says maneuver is a movement or series of moves requiring skill and care. Sometimes we're moving out the way and we're not caring how much skill we're applying to it. We're just trying to get out the way of something occurring. But it's an operation. It's a form of exercise in some instances. It may be the realizing that a movement is happening, or a move needs to happen, or we need to take action. We need to stop from what we're doing and do something else that gives us, some forwardness, moving from where we are. And it says manifesting. I love that. Yeah, manifesting is good. That means you really looked at it. It was kind of determined. Okay. All right. Good morning, Maurice. How are you? Today our word is move, and how we sometimes have to be moved, or we look at it ahead of time and we've surveyed it and realizing and analyzed it and realizing that we need to go. We need to move. And so I started with the M. My M is a maneuver, because I think that that's what sometimes we have to do, is just maneuver our way from here to there. The O for me is observation. I don't believe you can move anywhere unless you recognize where you need to go to. And so I'm going to be observant. What am I leaving? Where am I going? What route am I taking? Who needs to go with me? Am I going alone? How much money do I need? Those are, to me, the whole observation process. I look at a lot of things from the end back to the beginning. I don't look at it, I'm going to do this step and then I'll figure out what step is next. No, I am looking at the entirety of something, because it makes sense to me. It makes sense that I've really observed what is happening, how it needs to be worked on, who needs to be involved in it. And it says sometimes some people will not move unless they are pushed. Yes, yeah, you got that right. That's what I talked about before you came in. That's the question. Are we moved, or do people or situations move us? And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, it does. Sometimes we don't have any choices but to get going, or get, as they say, get gone, only because we've been forced to. We've been forced into it. So when we go back to the word observation, it says, what is observation? Observation is the action or process of observing something, okay, or someone carefully in order to gain information. So if you know that you have to move, then you would stake out, plan, organize, be, pretty much critical of what's next. How am I getting here? How am I getting there? How am I getting from here to there? And ironically enough, go without a car for 3 months and figure out how you're getting around after you've already used up their rental fees that they will pay, your own that you're willing to pay. And then it's a question of, how am I going to move around? How am I going to get there? There you go. So you realize. Orbit, I love that. A continual movement around something. I love it. That means you're constantly going around what you're in charge of dealing with, to make the movement. Oh, I love it. That's a good thing. And aren't we constantly a part of the constellation that, our sun goes around, the world we live in. And then all the other planets are out there, in their own orbitry. So yes, that's a great word. This Debbie says operations. Absolutely. Because sometimes you have to have an operational process. What are you gonna do? How do you figure it out? And I know for a fact that Deb in her prior life was a bus driver, and she knew the routes, and she knew if there were times in her day when the traffic may be really busy, and how maybe even if she had to divert because of accidents and go around what was going on. So I'm quite sure that would be true, and that with the onward anyway. I know that's right. And sometimes you do have to say, regardless of what's in your way, you still have to go. You still have to make a decision to go. So you must be observant. You must have an observational process in your view to say, where am I going? How am I going to get there? Who goes with me? And once again, how much money is it going to cost me, or time? Or time. So the observation says the action process of observing something or someone carefully or in order to gain information, but it's also watching, monitoring, giving scrutiny to something, forming some type of examinational process, inspection. How many of us inspect where we're going? Some do, some don't. Viewing, surveillance. To me, like, even planning a trip. How do you plan the trip when you don't know some of the, what I would say, the other side? You don't know, especially going out of country. You know, do you need a passport and a visa? Do you have to take certain exams? Is COVID off for every country you can go to? All those kinds of things. Let's see. I research big time. Yes, I know you do. My niece Rhonda does. She does a good job of making sure that she researches where she's going to go. I do too. I do too, just in case. Just in case something goes wrong. What's an alternative? What is an alternative? What, as Debbie said last week, what is the plan B? What is the plan B? You need to know a plan B. So observation is also surveillance, attention. How many of us give attention to the things that, even if it's uncharted water, we still may need to walk through it? We still may need to go that direction. Why? Because that may be the only direction to go, the only way to get there, the only way, the only way. The other thing is consideration. We must study, and then it says we must review. That is observation in its truest form. I mean, plain and simple, it really tells you really must pay attention. The V for me of move this morning is, what is my view? What do I see? What do I see where I'm currently at? But then what do I see going forward? What's out there? What's out there for me? Have I truly done my maneuvering in such a way that I had a good opportunity for observation, and my view that I see visually, for me, is a plan that I should be involved in, that I should know more. And a lot of times we will go places, do things, and not have all of the view. We only see a little bit. We see a portion of the view. We don't see it all. We see a portion of the person. We don't see it all. We see a portion of the project. We don't see it all. And sometimes, because the project is being made as others are going, you are folded into being a part of the project, but not necessarily having enough information to be wise about, should I just say no now? Or am I forced to move on it later to say no? So, okay, voyaging, I like that. Velocity, oh yes, velocity is real good. Oh, velocity, because sometimes that's just giving us, you know, something engineized. We got ingenuity, we got energy, we got all those things that start with E. I love it. Yes, that would be good. Um, and then somebody else has vigilance. I think we do need to be vigilant when we are forced to move someplace. or move to a different project, a different apartment, a different house. Interesting enough, I heard on TV this morning. I don't know if you all heard it, but it was on GMA, Good Morning America, before I came on here, and it was saying about young people and realizing the importance of them, you know, having money that starts now, because it says if you don't see it, you won't touch it. And so when you get ready later on in life, and it says a 401k is better than, fooling with, just the IRA. So it really talks about what should I do as a young person, but then it talks about what should you do as an older person. Should you move out the house that you're in? And it says the average person, if you stay in a house at least 10 years, within that 10 years, you really have money that you can stand on, because not only have great equity, but the market, he was saying, has increased so much that you'll be able to, if you want another house, you can get it, but you have equity, so you have money. Your house is equity. That's just serious stuff. So the view sometimes needs to be your view versus what somebody is telling you. But if someone has, pretty much illustrated that if you take this route, it's a good one, especially when it comes to your money. And sometimes the move is don't move. Yes, I said it. Don't move. If your money that you don't see every week or every 2 weeks, depending on how you're paid, if there's a certain amount of money that just goes immediately into, a trust, a 401k, an IRA, leave it there. Leave it there. Don't move it. Don't move it. That's a good move. That move is a good move, because the move on your behalf is that you're putting it there. Okay. And when you get ready to use it, that makes it where it becomes worthy money, available money, where you can take a vacation and buy a house. Maybe you want a bigger house. Maybe you want a fancy ride by the time you get to be whatever that age is, that magical age that you want to be. So the view talks about, in this instance that I put, the ability to see something or to be seen from a particular place, your sight, your own perspective, your field of vision, the range of vision, and then the eyes shot. That's what you want. You want that when it's your time to make a decision about what you want to do with your money, your time, your career, your life. You have to look at it as, how can I make this work for me? How? And you have to make a decision. Do I leave the area I'm in and go to another portion of the country and work there to make better money? You also have to look at, well, is it how much I'm making better money, but does it equal out in terms of the economy and the location that I'm at versus where I'm going to? Because if I'm going to an area where it's making more money, is the cost of living higher? Those are the kind of things, when you're making a move, you have to look at the width of it, look at the depth of it, to find out how important it is to stay with something that's going to be there for you. Now, the last E that I have, or the last letter in my move that I have, is for examine. Examine. How many of us really examine anything to the point where we've almost exhausted ourselves on knowing everything about what we need to know? Excellence. I love excitement. Yeah, excitement is good. I thought somebody had put down excellence. Excitement is a good thing. I remember moving from the States to Europe, and after waking up in the middle of the night over the Atlantic Ocean, being in total panic, I got it together once I hit the ground. And we had landed first in Spain, and then we went on to to Italy, and I just remember I was just amazed at the countryside. I think my eyes were like a little child on Christmas morning. You know, my eyes were big and wide, and I just couldn't believe all the beauty everywhere, where everything was beautiful. Even the cactuses. Now at night they were scary. I got to tell you, looked like folks, family of folks was out along the sides of the road hitchhiking or something, because it was just so dark and they didn't have the same kind of lighting that we have in our country. So that freaked me out. But eventually I got used to it. I was never an excited driver for nighttime over there. I do it over here, but that's only out of necessity when I have a car. When I have a car. But anyway, I examined the area that I lived in, and I absolutely loved it. I would walk to the market, the open air markets every day, to the panificios. I would go to the carney, which is their meat shops. Uh, I just I loved it. After a while, and I believe it was a kind of a different life from what I moved from. But I understood the move was significant because it was a military move. And so that's why we lived, over there. But anyway, you have to examine your area, your surrounding. And so it says inspect something or something. How many of you put a yes in there if you inspect certain things about your life? It says in detail to determine their nature or condition. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just want what we want. We don't examine it. In fact, when we examine it, it's behind whatever we did wrong, whatever went wrong, whatever we feel sorry about, whatever we feel convicted about, all those things. It's on the other side because we really didn't examine it. So it says, when we look at the determinate nature of condition, we investigate thoroughly. Some of us do. Okay, Rhonda says yes. Debbie, do you investigate everything? Wonder. How about you, Marion? Sometimes we don't. Sometimes the best lessons and the worst lessons we've learned along the way is when we get someplace and it's not exactly as they even put out there and say it is. I mean, I've done that. It is what it is. Because people will build up certain things. They'll make it like you're going to have a 5-star hotel and the hotel barely makes a 1-star. It's just open for business, and I remember working one time for our boss. His name was Howard. And working for Howard, I remember he says, "Oh, you're going to love this hotel and the food is wonderful." Well, I should have known because I am a picky eater that starting with the food was horrible. And I remember telling the woman, because the hotel also had this supposedly fabulous place to eat. And I remember the eating was horrible. And so we told the woman after we finished paying, and says, "Well, how do we find the entrance to the hotel part from here?" And the woman gave us this this deadpan look like, "I know you aren't going there." We were dressed well, we were business people. We had our briefcases and our suits on, and we were all of that, okay? And I remember Howard was with us. And Howard went to sleep. Wasn't no big deal to him. For us, we were freaked out. We got in, the beds had swags in them. It looked like something had been on the dresser eating it. And so we backed out the room. We didn't even go all the way in. And we left and we went to, it wasn't that we went to the Ritz, but we went at that point in time. There were very few hotels left, but it was on the scale of a Ritz. So we went to a real 5-star hotel. And I remember our boss saying, "I know you didn't do that." We said it was either that or we were going to be on the street because we couldn't hang with the hotel. It was just that bad. So sometimes you think you've read or you listen to somebody to convince you to do something, and you do it. only to find out that it's not so good. I do too. I miss Howard. He really was a great man, but he had poor taste when it came to where you'd stay. You know, he would make a move, and in fact, I used to drive him from New York to from Albany to Syracuse, and he would get in the car and we just ate lunch, and he would be sound asleep. He'd snore from the time he left Syracuse till we got doing the move. He would sleep all that time, and he said, "Oh, you're home already? We're home already." Yes, we are, Howard. We are home already. But anyway, when we really look at things that we've examined, it says, well, that's why I used to tell him to not cross that line. Yes, you did. You used to be so funny. You told him, don't move over here. Don't come over here. So move is just a real word that you understand the significance of it. When we inspect something and we're really looking at what we need to do with it, it says that we must examine it thoroughly. We must inquire about it. How many of us inquire about a lot of things? Sometimes we don't. We just get what we get, you know. Um, and ironically enough, I had that accident that I had in January. I ended up I ended up getting 4 points on it, even though I did everything to avoid all of that. I took the test and I also submitted the money promptly. Like I took the test within 2 days of the accident, passed it one time right away. And then I paid 7 days later, I paid for the citation. It ended up that they rejected the test because it didn't show up in their system. And then, but they took my money and they said, well, once we take your money, we close the case. So now the only way you can do that is that you have to figure out through a legal form. So I'm thinking, so you mean I have to find, a lawyer? Basically, they were saying either a lawyer or you have to figure out if a judge will even entertain it. Well, I sat down and once again, I examined all the things they told me of what I needed to do. And I actually wrote a letter that said, you know, here's what happened. This is the circumstances that I was faced with. I did everything, my due diligence, to not only take the test immediately, but pay immediately. And I said, and yet and still you turned away my request to have the points removed. Well, the judge saw it, and when I called up the courthouse, the actually it's the traffic division, the young lady said, well, that's the only way you can do it. You can send that in. And she said, but it's probably going to be about 30 or 45 days before they acknowledge it. They wrote me back the next day. I sent it on a Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I had a reply where the judge says there would be no adjudication. We will go into our system and we will remove that. Thank you so much for letting us know about how you were dealt with. So sometimes you have to realize that that's it. You have to put it out there, examine your situation, and make your move. It may be in writing, it may be in person, it may be physically that you have to move from where you are to someplace else. Realizing the importance of a move, but it's your move. Move on, Doc. Yes, move it on, move on it. That's right. Sometimes we have to. We have to. No one else is going to look out for you but you. And so you must consider the moves you have to make. And long before you're forced to make them, if you can do that, do it. Do it. If you got time to sit a minute, then don't wait till the last minute to act on it. I have some things that not having a car really slowed me up on. But, I see the light. I did receive my start for me to my acknowledgement and my start to hunt for a car. So that's going to start today or tomorrow, and I'm excited about that. So yes, evaluate. That is a great word. I want you to evaluate your move, just what Debbie said. I want you to look at how you can maneuver, really be observant about where you're going. Observation, you must give it. Look at the view you have and the one you had. And then lastly, examine it to the hilt. So when it's time for you to really be situated again, You're situated the way in which you want to be situated, not by somebody else, but by your own will. That's where you stay. That's where you can stay until it's time to move again. Because to me, what that poem said by Robert Frost, okay, things that are gold will not stay. They won't. No matter what we want to do, no matter how long we're here, we will experience the loss and the changes of life. So listen, have a great, 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 great day. I will see you on Wednesday. Let me know if you like this platform that I'm starting. I'm loving it because I can see the same thing that I know is on Facebook and also YouTube at the time. I'm gonna add Instagram, but I'm excited. I'm excited that I believe that the man upstairs is looking out after me. I got some good stuff coming. Okay, be safe, evaluate, maneuver, observe, and then most of all, check where you're going for the next move you have to make. Okay, be nice to somebody this week, this day, this evening, until I see you again. Okay, I will see you then. Thank you, everybody. See you soon. Love you guys. All righty, bye bye.